Oh, nice. Normally oh, what is this going on here? Look at this guy. I don't get great cell service, so I got the the dad jokes, am I right? Oh man. You know what? Nobody's here right now. Oh, what's up, dude? Uh yeah, I should probably make my bed. That's actually gonna annoy me the entire stream. So yeah. Hey people, what's going on? Pursuit of Purpose. I like that name. I like it a lot. Give me 2 seconds. This is seriously gonna annoy me. So I'm gonna just hold on. Yep, that just happened. I used to do that before. Oh my god, that blanket, dude. Dude, walking out the front door. What's up with that? Janny Pants, what's going on? Finally changed my YouTube name. Oh, ABC123. I thought I recognized that icon or your whatchamacallit. The the profile picture. Dude, I am so OCD, I hate it. Absolutely hate it. That's my life, man. That is my life. Granted, you recognize pick or avatar. Yeah, that's what it should. That's what it is. That's what it's called. What's going on, guys? I didn't know I was going to be doing live tonight, but I figured why not. Too much coffee today? No, I actually don't. I don't drink coffee. Well, I sometimes I do, but not typically. Granite, gradient. I don't know. I don't know what we're talking about right now. Screw coffee. Yeah. Well, that works. Oh, guys, I'm stoked for my vlog that's coming out on Monday. I'm starting to do the film vlogs again, and I'm really enjoying it a lot. I need vanilla fountain Coke. Oh man. Rad Maynard. Rad Maynard? What's up? Rad? Rad. How's the new job? The new job is it's good. I didn't realize how much I needed I didn't realize how much I needed people until I got a new job and I started hanging out with people again. Um hey, thanks man. Uh Nate, but I'll keep it. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Thanks, Caleb. See you next time. Or hopefully you'll make it back for some more of it. But anyway, yeah, new job is good. I didn't realize I needed people until I started hanging out with people. So yeah. And bartending, I really like it. I really enjoy it. And they're giving me a little bit they're giving me more hours than what I asked for, but I'm not complaining because I need the money. Um I also need to change my last name here. Last name changed, and I don't know how to change it on here. I don't know. I've been away. What you doing now? Channy Pants. I thought I remembered you from somewhere. Or dude, this is what is going on here, man. Dude, did you used to be on these live streams a lot? Or too much time alone is when it gets real. Yeah, that's for sure. Janny Pants. I know I you used to be on live, right? Remember me? Yeah. Oh, Nick Rossellini. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I definitely remember you. I remember your comment. Yeah, sure. What's up, man? Glad you're here. Sometimes I wouldn't say a lot. Gotcha. Well, yes, I remember you. I recognize your name, your username. Do you play guitar? I do play guitar. I love to play guitar. Do you play guitar? Rad Maynard. So yeah, basically, I just decided to just talking because I can. Decided to start just calling these chats misfit or philosophical chats because it normally just goes down that road anyway, and people just ask whatever they want, or we talk about whatever we want. But yeah, so that's mine. Shells, oh my God, Shells, how the hell are you? It has been a minute. That's some NF because I'm heading out to my winter job that I got specifically to preserve my health. Damn, dude, what's going on with your health? I recently started lifting weights, so now I'm around more people and not being alone all the time. That's good. Yeah, gym is a good place for community. I mean, that's not the reason why you should go there because those people annoy the hell out of me because I'm like, yo, you need to stop talking because I'm trying to use that machine. But it is what it is. Some people enjoy it and some people do it, which it's a good place for it to happen. But I mean, if you're hogging the machine, can get out. um, recently, I play too. I play drums and piano also. Same. And I play bass and ukulele and sing. I do a lot. I've been pondering over if the Bible really is God's word. It's just that stuff. Oh my God, my nose just got super itchy. Oh, all right, Derek. What's up, man? I've been pondering over if the Bible really is God's word. It's just that stuff don't line up in it. I do believe in God, but it's just a thought. Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you define word, because there is two different words used for word. Like I know in Greek, there's two different words. There's logos, and then there's oh man, it's been a minute. There's two different words. One is the actual written word, and then the other one is the word. Like it's not tangible. It's just like these words that I'm speaking right now. It's not anything in ink, basically. And so I guess, you know, is the Bible really God's word, like his voice? No. I mean, many people would argue that, but sometimes, most of the time, sometimes, not most of the time, I would say sometimes, those people are also the people that praise and worship Father, Son, Holy Bible, and take the written word as like that is God's word set in stone. It's like you're gonna have a really hard time with a lot of things because God's written word does contradict himself a lot. But if you're going to depend on God's word, using the Bible as your foundation and not your ceiling, essentially, then maybe you'd be a lot more. Well, those people typically are a lot more open-minded to change and open-minded to a lot of different things. And so, yeah, I mean, and I guess you can go a number of different ways with that, but how do you define word? And what do you mean by word? I'm assuming you're talking about written word because yeah, there are tons of contradictions in it. But if you depend or explore on God's word and hearing his word, the alive word that is living, you know, then yeah, you might find yourself heading down a more spiritual path instead of a more dogmatic and fundamental path. So yeah, it's just how you see it in a number of ways. But saying that, I think that you should definitely look at the Bible if you're going to follow it at all as some sort of foundation. Like talking about if you're a Christian. Now I follow. Now there's a lot of principles in the Bible that I use about my with my foundation that I still, I didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, and I didn't completely throw out everything. There's still a lot of foundations that I follow in the Bible. But Jesus, it's a stink bug, motherfucker. There it goes. All right. Anyway, I totally forgot what I was saying. I hate those things. But yeah. Yeah, you don't wanna use the Bible as your, ceiling, because that's when you get really dogmatic and fundamental about everything instead of just having it as your foundation, and then it leads to a more I would say it would lead to a more spiritual path, but anyway, I digress. Yes, I really enjoy those, and you, because 'cause I'm a singer, guitar player, and a philosopher. Nick, you are really gonna like my new vlog. My vlog that comes out on Monday, you're really gonna like it. Want to hear your thoughts. What up, fam? What's going on, Domain? Who wins Jake Paul? And I don't freaking know. Dude, we have been sick AF, but I'm starting to feel better now. Well, that's good. Have you been? I've been. I've been, to say the least. Um, bro, my gym is full of old Italian guys. Oh man. In other words, I know exactly how you feel needing interaction from your job. I live alone. I basically live alone. I mean, I live with my parents, but I basically live alone. Guitar and saxophone, Blackbirds. That's what's up. How you doing, Blackbirds? Being a guitarist when you're left-handed, yeah, but certain things are more expensive and there's less variety. Yeah, if you're reading the Bible, use a direct translation from Greek or Hebrew to get a better translation. I would say the Bible is inspired by God. That's what a lot of people say. Yeah, like the writing of Paul contradicts a lot of stuff elsewhere in the Bible. That it does. Well, Paul, if you listen to my latest podcast with Matthew Palmer, um, then he speaks of the actual, like that's actually the case. Like Paul took a lot of liberty with his translation of the Torah. You need to understand God's word to understand his word, if you get me. I think I get you. Honestly, I really don't care anymore if there's a God or not. I saw a quote that said, "You have two lives. The second one starts when you realize you only got one." I don't know if I like it or hate it. I think I like it. Yeah, I think I like it. Jake Paul, dude. Again, I don't know. Jake Paul. I don't really care, to be honest. That and Noah didn't get enough wood to build a ship larger than the oasis of seas when he lived in the Middle East of all places. Stink bug, yeah. I get you, Nick. I think Paul has some backwards view, in my opinion. Nate, oh. What do you think of Kanye's album "Jesus is King"? Um, the Mally R. The vlog name is the difference between joy and happiness. But I film it in my studio while I'm recording music, and I talk philosophy about joy. So that's coming out on Monday. What do you think about Kanye's album "Jesus is King"? I already made a vlog about it. A lot of people disagree with me. It's fine. But just to say a little bit more, because obviously it's been out for a while, and so basically, All right, I liked and didn't like it. I liked the album because the production was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. No complaints there from a music producer standpoint. But from a standpoint of lyricism, I wasn't down with it, and it's not because um, where I'm at currently. It's because I look at Kanye's. I'm a storyteller. I'm a storyteller with my vlogs. I'm a storyteller in music. I'm a storyteller in many different ways. Essentially, everything I do is out of a place of storytelling. I love storytelling. And so I look at Kanye's life and I see that there is a story to be told from the before said conversion to after said conversion. And so, and I do this not saying, oh, he's not converted or anything. I'm just, 'cause that's what people call it, conversion. I don't know if that's the right thing to call it or what, but whatever happened, that conversion between the change that took place. Um, he didn't talk about it at all. There's definitely a story there. There's a good, like he talks about a mental breakdown in his interviews. He talks about a number of different things that went on, and it's like, yo, let's talk about this. Like, put this in your music. Like, you're obviously not the only one that's gone through things like that, and so help people out, help the world out, not just let them know who you are and your story that is being told, and that can be told while still, talking about that gospel message. But he just didn't do it. He just didn't do that. And he just decided to make it a gospel album, not really sharing his story. And I mean, he did kind of, but I was really hoping for like a storytelling album. Like, here's how I've changed, and here's what's happened to me, and all that kind of stuff. And so I like the album from a production standpoint. I still listen to a couple songs off the album because I really like the production that much. I don't hate the album at all. I was just upset that he chose not to tell a story, and he chose to do a gospel album. I mean, that was his intention, but I was really hoping for a storytelling album. That's not what I got. So, yeah, I feel like I already said that before, but there's my statement again. Bible is rigged just because the church decided what goes in it and what does not. This is true. So naturally, they put in only what makes Jesus look perfect. Though he is part human, Bible makes him look without a flaw. It's true. The Bible even says he lived without flaw. You have to remember, before he was Christian, Paul, and a hardcore Jewish law follower, so some of his stuff may be influenced by that. Where do you find your purpose? In yourself. Your purpose doesn't have anything to do with what you do, it's who you are. Your purpose is within you. Sit in silence and listen to yourself. What is your definition of philosophy? Knock, knock. What up, Darkin? What is your definition of philosophy? Well, philosophy literally means lover of knowledge. Now, having said that, I've made videos about this already. I think there's certain knowledge that is just dead. And I say dead because it brings no life. If something isn't bringing life and it's just stagnant, then it's just dead. And so the philosophy that I really enjoy, the philosophy that I like to talk about, is philosophy that involves pragmatism with it. That it's like an actual, you're not just having these thoughts and ideas and you're sitting alone in your room just coming up with all of this really cool revelatory philosophical whatever, like these revelations on life or whatever, and you're not doing anything with it, but taking a pragmatic approach to it and saying, actually, taking not only a pragmatic approach, but like in the philosophy of pragmatism, they take an approach like the scientific method that says, let's actually experiment with this, let's actually live this out and try this out and see if this actually works in life. It's not just a cool thought. And so the knowledge that comes from experience, I think, is worth the philosophical talks. I think the philosophical talks of, these just like simulations or cool little ideas here and there, and a lot of theology or the philosophy of religion, most of it is stagnant and dead. Like a lot of philosophical arguments for the existence of God, dead. Like they're not going anywhere. That people have tried to argument the existence of God philosophically for thousands of years, and nobody's gotten anywhere. It's just all circular. And so, and then that gets into the whole thing of faith and belief and why I have the ideas of belief that I do. So I think the philosophy that's worth talking about is the philosophy that's like, I'm doing a series right now on the philosophy of joy and how to actually, live out joy and what is joy and how does it take place in your life, and like the philosophy of love. But and it is still philosophy. It's not objective set in stone because everybody's going to have a different sort of experience with all of those things. But I do think there are similarities and there are objective truths there. But that is more different things to talk about. So the philosophy, the actual meaning of it is lover of knowledge or lover of wisdom, which wisdom is not the same thing as knowledge. And so it depends on, and maybe what I'm talking about and the knowledge that I'm talking about is wisdom. I call it knowledge, but it really is wisdom. Because I think there's more of an action to wisdom. But knowledge, I think a lot of it is dead. And so, yeah, basically, I think there's two different ways to look at it, and I tend to drift this way, but a lot of people want to drift this way and just talk about cool little thoughts in here and there, and I'm like, I'm not really interested because that's just circular and it's not actually doing anything for my life or your life, and we just end up disagreeing, and it's like, like, why would we have a conversation about disagreeing on something that is just dead? Like, it's not going to affect our lives at all. It's just going to further divide us. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not really for that. So, yeah, that's how I see it. Oh boy. Who's crying out? He's crying out, but still walking the wrong path? Me? Oh, I did. Shells. I checked out Toby Mac's new song. I about cried with that music video. I get you like Kanye's level of storytelling with his newfound Christianity. I don't understand that question. Oh, okay. Why do I feel like everyone just paraphrases everything and takes the Bible too literal in its writing? Because that's what they do. The Bible is also saying to love the world around you just like you love yourself. So that makes you have to love yourself to love the world. There is some good shit in that old propaganda book. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that, Demain. 100%. Looks around for Christians who still don't get it. Are you talking to me or you? Which is actually yeah, I Christians do believe that, which I made a video about that. I would disagree with the thing of philosophy not being able to prove the existence of God, though. I 100% disagree with that. I may make a video about that. Well, if you do make a video, let me know because I'd love to watch it. Applied knowledge equal wisdom. Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. What is the square root of pi? Your mother. I don't know. 3.14. Blah 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 blah. I would disagree. God gave us the ability to think for ourselves, which some people don't believe. The thing, yeah, that's called Christian determinism. The thing with Christians not being philosophers is more than some people think. I was talking about Kanye. Nicholas, got to go. See you guys. All right, man. Peace. I cried so much at his new video. It was heartbreaking. I had no idea. It's heartbreaking. For someone not ready to search for their truth, joy means ignorance. Dante has a quote: even heaven becomes a prison when you realize it has boundaries. Damn. But humans are into themselves to be ready for the truth. Yeah. That frame of thinking goes along the lines of the theology of universalism. Sarah, what's going on, Sarah? Hey Nate, do you think people who say uh Hey Nate, do you think people who say they were in a dark time then called out to Jesus and he healed or helped them and they experienced some magical moment? Do you think they actually did it? Could possibly be in their head or could possibly be in their head. That's a good question. Um, well, the simple answer, and I think the only answer from my point of view, is I don't know. You know that I mean that's a having something happen like that is a very subjective experience. I know that when I was still going to church and I was on a leadership team and I was praying for people left and right, that they would break out into tears all the time and they'd be like, "You have no idea. I've had pain for la da 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 da, and right now it's gone." And I'm like, "Great, okay, cool." And it's like, thank God. That's what I said at the moment. But I don't know. Did they come back next week for prayer again because they were still in pain? Yeah. So you know, was there a magical moment? Y- Yeah. But, I mean, I don't. Well, I say yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it seems like it, but I don't know. I mean, a lot of those people come back because their pain hadn't left. So it's like, what is that? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think that is the only answer that I can give because it is a subjective experience. It might seem objective to them. Like obviously if somebody prayed for me and I woke up the next morning and with a newfound energy and went to the doctor and they said I don't have Lyme disease anymore and it lasted, then that's fantastic. That might say something to me. It's subjective to myself, but at the same time it's also objective in a subjective sense for me, because that's something objective that I've felt for years, and now all of a sudden it's gone, hypothetically speaking. Which I have had people pray for me for Lyme, but nothing's happened. So yeah, I don't know, and I don't think it's anybody but them that can really tell, honestly. But just hearing that, is it all in their head or is it real? I don't know. I don't know, but I mean, reality is in our head technically. So, but yeah, I mean, simply, I don't know. I missed your answer. How would you define philosophy? I gave a pretty drawn out response. So you'll have to rewind it and watch it later. I'll probably make a video separate about it, so you won't miss anything. You'll see it. Just watch a video of someone who gave their testimonial, and I've tried this in her, and I hear nothing. I don't know. It's all in their head. Of course you would say that. Have you ever watched Manly P. Hall? I have not. He was a Freemason and had a lot of esoteric knowledge. Esoteric knowledge about Freemasonry? Right. Then what when the pain then what when the pain comes back? I don't they get prayer again. I don't Yeah, I don't know. This is a good question, Sarah, especially in instances when things like cancer is removed from the system and some other incurable diseases, and it truly amazing and astonishing. Normally described. Yeah. All right, I gotta go. I'll probably make a video about Christian philosophy worldwide for you, Nate. Sounds good. Later, Nick. How about this? How can a religious person tell when God's actually speaking to them, um, and their minds are just making shit up? Yeah, that's another one. That's another good one right there. Um, well, I mean, they they technically, objectively can't, but then they would say, "No, I know God. I know what He uh, sounds like. I know His voice." I'm like, I don't. I have no idea. I have no idea. It's a fantastic question though. As a supernatural, unnatural, whatever you prefer, event. People who find their peace in Jesus are the ones who just pass the responsibility of their life from one person, from them to someone else. I don't want to sound mean, but that seems line of weakness. Yeah. Well, I mean, you're not wrong. It's like the Matrix. You want to not be responsible anymore when you feel the burden of responsibility. So you get out of the real life. Very true. I agree. 100%. I really am into physical evidence to believe things. So being a Christian is kind of hard for me. Well, I imagine so, because I'm supposed to have faith. And I have seen people who seem like they really know God. Yeah, me too. Me too. Um, and I think that there is a balance there between, if God is real, that whole faith walk. But it's also like, I don't know. Evidence is good. Science is good. Evidence is good. So I totally get your dilemma. I feel that. He had a lot of esoteric knowledge about everything. Share. So what was some of the esoteric knowledge that you heard about? Like you're not mentally mature to accept the responsibility of a life. Mentally, you are still a child. Yeah, that's very true. If you're talking about Christianity, then religious wouldn't really make sense, but it's more like a relationship with God. That's the belief in the line of thought. Yeah, that's the belief in line of thought. But I mean, a lot of people use it's not a religion, it's a relationship as like a dogmatic thing now. To where it's like it sounds really good, but it's like, do you actually have a relationship with God? Blackbird's Wrath. I think you worded that question better than I did. How do you tell reality from insanity? Huh. Oh man. Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I think in reality, there's limitations. And with insanity, you think that you're limitless. So I know for me, when I had my mental breakdown, and a couple months ago when I started to go into another mental breakdown, I I was going insane because I felt like I tapped into something that was limitless. And I didn't know how to ground myself because I didn't have any value for this reality. I was just trying to escape it. And so I think how we can tell reality from insanity is when we mentally and objectively recognize our limitations. That's what I would say. That's what I think. But how much of them really knowing God is that, or just are they a good and gentle person? Another great question. I have nothing against my life belongs to God. Everything I do is for Him because that is a decision you took out of love, and no one can blame love. But, oh, here's the but. I'll be okay because God saved me is a bad way of thinking, a weak way of thinking. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I partly agree with that. I don't know if it's a bad way of think. No, okay. I think it is a bad way of thinking in some senses, but I don't think it's a weak way of thinking. Um, it's okay because God saved. Like if God is a savior, like if Jesus is a savior, then you need to come to the end of yourself and admit that you're weak and you're a victim and you need saving. If you don't think you need saving, then you won't need a savior. But if you stay in that place, then that's where it gets horrible. That's where it gets terrible. Here's $1 million relationship. Jesus actually emphasized this in many his teaching and sermons of how we must value relationships over religious rituals. 100%. Yes, he did. Like, yes, there are some rituals that people practice, but it isn't priority. It's only symbolic in nature. Here's the $1 million. If you getting if you get the winning answer, you don't look at me. I don't have it. How does one tell when Nate sees something interesting And when he sees something stupid, what, like a question on here when I see something interesting and when I see something stupid? That's funny. I guess I have a good poker face because I've seen some really stupid stuff on here. Was it love or indoctrination? What do you mean? Following God or believing in God? What was you? What, yeah. Is that in regards to Domain's comment? Uh, Indoctrination is more prevalent in Christian church than anyone wants to admit. This is so unbelievably true. And it's like you get indoctrinated with, we're not indoctrinated. And I think that is that can be what's so manipulative about all of like religious stuff, religious thinking, is it's like, oh no, this isn't an indoctrination. Oh no, you're not following laws. This isn't a religion. It's a relationship. And then they give you a whole bunch of lists of do's and don'ts. And yeah, it's sticky. It's very sticky. Do you believe in life after death? I've talked about this so much. I don't know. I have like I don't know a couple videos on it, and they're in my live stream video. But I've had that exact question asked to me a number of times, and the simple answer is I don't know. I don't know. And I've elaborated on it more in the past, but just to simply answer, and I've have a video on me elaborating on it, but simply put, I don't know. I heard someone say that Native Americans didn't care what people believe, that if you were a good person, then what you believe is probably good. Yeah, I mean, what's the issue with that? I don't see any issue with that. And you know, the funny thing is, Christianity is the only religion that, even if you're a good person, if you're the greatest person on earth, that's not enough. That is not enough. You have to accept Jesus. And you can be a real piece of shit and accept Jesus. And then you get into heaven. You're good. Some weird stuff, man. Do you get tired of answering the same questions over again, or does it give you new perspectives? Yes. um, so my family knows. Like when I have a story to tell or when I have something that I want to say, I say it once, and if you ask me again what'd you say, it's just annoying. And I just I like telling things once. I like getting it out once, and then that's it. That's that. That's the story. There it is. If you missed it, you missed it. But in regards to things like philosophy, like okay, so say that question, do you believe in life after death? I've been asked that question. I don't know how many times. So many times, and I feel like I've elaborated on it so many times. So now that's become one of those questions where I just answer it simply, and I'm like, I don't know. Also, it's like, I don't know. My brain, everybody's brain. Some days you got on days, and some days you got off days. And so some questions that I get asked, it's like it's an on day, and I'm totally there, and like I can elaborate on it all day long. And then some days it's an off day, and I'm like, you know what? Don't really haven't thought about that in a while. Don't really have any thoughts on it. So um, I give a short, simple answer to what I think. I can dig for it, but then it just wears me out, honestly. Um, but it does give me new perspective when I do continually elaborate on it. Because there's certain things that, like when I'll do like a rant or something, there's certain things that I say that I'm like, I don't know if I totally believe or agree with that yet. So the more I elaborate on it, the more I'm able to like fish out what I actually think about a subject. And so that's why I love having these talks time and time and time again, because it's like it's really grounding for me. I'm like, oh, now I understand exactly what I think and exactly where I am. So in that way, I do appreciate stating things a number of times. Um, but I mean, honestly, it just kind of depends on the day too. Domain said it's their choice out of love. No, they were indoctrinated. I mean, maybe, but at the same time, I think that's kind of your opinion of it. I mean, you can't really know. You don't like. I mean, yes, I get why that's your opinion of it, but at the same time, you don't really know. My big thing when I was in church was the whole concept of sin. Yeah, it's a weird concept. Sorry, I will go watch your videos. I really don't want to ask questions that you already answered. No, it's fine. Like I don't mind being asked them. But that's a question there was like a month straight where I got that question a number of times, like every single week. And yeah. I mean, I'm curious. Do you wonder if I think that there's an afterlife because of my videos that you've watched of mine, that you're like, I wonder what he thinks of this, or are you wondering if there's an afterlife because, or are you asking me if I think there's an afterlife because you're wondering if there's an afterlife? JIJ official, I gotta go now, but thanks for replying to some of my comments. Appreciate it, brother. Love you, man. Jesus loves you. Take care. All right, man. I will see you in the next one. Peace. I'm just struggling in my search for truth. So is your search right now for like, is there another dimension? Does an afterlife exist? Kind of thing? I know some pretty shitty humans are pastors, and I'm sorry, but you can't tell me I'm going to hell and he isn't really true and you get the feelings. Yeah. What question what question has a greater I cook you clean. Yo, what up, man? You're a boss. Thanks for the donation. Dude, I really appreciate it. Thank you a lot. You're amazing. Really appreciate it. What question has a greater bearing on your life than anything else and why? I know exactly the question, but I'm actually not ready to share it because it's actually super personal. Um, but yeah, that's a great question. I probably won't ask or tell people what that question is for myself for a while, but I do plan on in the future making a video on that question. What is the difference between Jesus and Hercules? The story teller. So Hercules is a weakness. That's it. Their story is almost the same. Hercules is older though. I know the story of Hercules and I know the story of Jesus, and I don't really get how you're making a connection. I'll answer a repeated question for you. God is not a being of love nor wrath. If God is real, he is a bored psycho ass. Wow. Okay. A lot of Christian stories, minor Greek mythology. True. The fact that some people really know that God is real and some people really know that he isn't is so hard for me to grasp where truth is. Yeah, man. I just I I think there's truth on both sides. I think you have to look at it in a very non-dualistic framework where it's like there's truth in atheism and there's truth in theism and there's truth in agnosticism. There's truth in disbelief and belief. Now, whether that greater truth of God existing, you know, that I think that's something to build up to. I think that's a journey. That's not something that you figure out in like a week. I think it's a lifelong pursuit. Why do you question death? Rye breed. Um, you've been dead billions of years before you were born. Afterlife will be the same as before life. Have you watched the film Inferno? I think I have. The idea is centered around it is really interesting. Yeah, I think I have seen it. It's been a minute though. Sarah Owen, you are a queen. Thank you so much. Oh my god. You all are amazing. Seriously, I don't know how to you have no idea how much like $2, $5, how much that means to me. Thank you guys. Thank you, really. Um, Working on any new songs lately? You haven't sang to us in a while. Yes, I am working on a song, and the series that I'm doing on Joy right now. The first of the series comes out Mondays. I'm talking the philosophy of joy through this series, but the cinematography, I guess you could say that the cinematography of it is me documenting this song that I'm remaking. It was on my first EP. It's one of my favorite songs that was on my first EP, and I just love it so much, and so I'm remaking it. And so the series on Joy is also a documentary series of me remaking this song, and that's going to be the next song that I release. So I'm excited. I loved filming it, and I like the way I edited it too. It's not like this fast paced YouTube video. It's very much like a laid back film, short documentary kind of thing. And there's going to be more of those too. So yeah, I am working on new music. I have like an album and an EP written. It's just patience, and I'm just got to keep going, got to keep making it. I think the afterlife question, at least for me, stems from fear of death. For sure. For sure. I mentioned going to a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I overheard some tour guides mentioning that people like Lady Gaga, Drake, and Taylor Swift would likely be up for nomination to be included when they something. I wish you guys knew. I wish I knew you guys were going to take a break for a second. My God, why does this happen every time? Blackbirds. Now, are you talking about the Rock Hall of Fame that Lady Gaga, Drake, and Taylor Swift would be nominated for the Rock Hall of Fame? Am I hearing that right? That's the thing that nobody really does. We just have to do our best to live. I hate this saying, but like for lack of a better term, your truth. Yeah, I don't like that term. I don't like that term, your truth. I do think there are truths that are your truths. But I do think I do think there's a level of truth that is subjective. I mean, objective. Um, yeah, and that's a phrase I keep hearing time and time again. Your truth. And I'm like, I mean, I get it, but I'm like, how far are you gonna go with that? They both were prophesied, demigod, virgin mom, had to pass trials, travel the world, and help humans doing supernatural things. After death, they became gods and are worshipped. Yeah, I mean, Hercules wasn't the only one. There's a ton of others. I'm pretty sure Hercules, like, there's really no historical anything, no historical debate at all over if Hercules was real. But there is historical debate as to if Jesus was actually real. And some people believe in Jesus based on the historical evidence. That's something I haven't researched yet, but that's why I'm like, I get what you're saying. Um, but I think it's safe to say that Hercules wasn't an actual person based on historical records, but maybe Jesus was. I don't know. Christians think atheists have nothing to live for. It's the opposite. Atheists have nothing to die for. They have everything to live for. That is truth right there. That is rock hard, solid truth. There are a lot of places online where you can find all the similarities. Yes, and I hate that saying too. It drives me nuts. But I didn't know how else to say it. Yeah, I got you. Out of here. Blackbirds. What was that? Was that you replying to what I was saying? Modern popular musician. About the Hall of Fame, Rock Hall of Fame. What's the out of here thing? I'm so confused. Of course, he wasn't the only one. My point was the story of Jesus is not original, but Christians can't understand that. So I know a lot of people that actually make um, the argument based on some historical documentation, and I've read up on it too. They make some arguments that the story of Jesus actually was the original one, and it was prophesied before any of those other ones. But then other ones were like, "Oh, this is a good story, so we're going to make up this story and say that this was Jesus, or this was it, or this was it," and then it happened, 2,000 years ago or whatever. But there are arguments out there. I've looked at a couple that says that actually Jesus's story was the first story. Lots of different lots of different historians and philosophers through history mostly don't deny Jesus existed. Yeah, I've only come across a couple of atheists who say that Jesus did not exist. There are atheists who say, "Yep, there's historical documentation he did exist," and then there's atheists who are like, "I'm not even sure he existed." Lots of historians are sure there wasn't only one Jesus. Interesting. I never heard of that. I'll have to look into it. I believe you have said you have a pastor as a father. Yes, I do. Does he still convince you that you are incorrect? He's never ever tried to convince me that I'm incorrect. That's the amazing thing having my dad as my dad, and I'm unbelievably grateful for him. Love him to death. Love him and my mom. Neither of them. Nope, I won't say neither. My dad uh, has not been like, "You're incorrect. You're wrong." He's actually been at a point of, um, "I understand why you are where you are," and I'm pretty sure he's at a point of, you got to go through this. Um, and I don't, I do think that my both of my parents. They're both like, "You'll come around. You'll be back eventually." Things like that. And I've talked to both of them. I've said, but you have to also accept that that might not be the case. That this is who I am now. Um, and they hear me. They hear me in that, but also they're completely respectful of my journey. And they understand that it's a journey. Um, and they understand, like they're totally understanding. Now it's difficult for me because some of the things that I'm researching and learning, I it's hard for me to talk to them about, because obviously they've taught me different. And they that is obviously they taught me it, and so that is what they believe. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I'm there, even with that, even with the philosophy of that idea. Like, I don't think that's right. And so it's tough. It's not easy, especially the more the journey goes on, the more I find that it's harder, and it gets harder and harder to have conversation with them. But still, regardless, it's like they're still like, "You're still our son," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're still my mom and dad." Um, and they are 100% completely respectful, in all ways, in all aspects. Um, so yeah, yeah. He's never tried to convince me that I'm incorrect. He's never tried to convince me. Um, I guess he's just curious in a lot of ways. And so is my mom, So I'm super grateful to have them as parents. Um, and yeah, yeah, super thankful for them. Love them both. Horus was 6,000 years ago before Jesus. I know that. Nope, there is the story of Prometheus that is almost twice older than Jesus. I understand that. I get what you're saying. Prometheus is the first world savior. I'm saying I have seen evidence that says, even like with Prometheus, that it was the prophecy of Jesus that got that story of Prometheus going, like things like that. Good chat. I might be back if you're still on here, hopping in the shower before the wife gets home from work. Have a blessed night, brother. You too. What are your thoughts on astrology? I love astrology. I think astrology is amazing. The more I research it, the more I look into it, the more I, yeah, explore it and look at how it works. I'm like, this is some legit stuff. I think it's super cool, super interesting, and I don't think it's a bunch of hoopla. I do think that there is some scientific stuff behind it. My man, Kevlar, what up, dude? I completely get what you're saying. My mom is hardcore Christian, and I feel at times I can't talk to her about things. I'm really glad that you make videos because I feel like I relate a lot to you. Both my parents are very involved in my church, and I'm still struggling with this. Thank you for talking about this. No problem, man. I appreciate you watching my content. Wow, you're just a basket of sunshine, aren't you, Darkin? Yeah. He tends to be like that. Darkin, you're great, man. My parents and I don't speak. I avoid them as much as possible. They're poisoning my life and my way of living and causing too much drama. Parents can also be like that too. And there is so much astrology in the Bible. This is real. There is a lot of astrology in the Bible. But if you start talking about it, are you doing a heresy? I guess the Bible is heretical to some Christians. Not me. I love the weird stuff. I like that. What do you think about veganism? And what do you do besides YouTube? Well, those are two completely different topics. What do I think about veganism? I don't like from the philosophy of veganism or the science of it. I don't know too much about it, but from a health standpoint, I'm all for it. I've wanted to try it for a while because I've had vegan friends that do it for health reasons, And they've had very significant, great results. Um, and so, yeah, I think I wanted to try it. I haven't though. What do I do besides YouTube? I make music. I'm a music producer. I have a studio, and I am a bartender. So that's my life. An old friend told me once when he saw me sad, man, life is never like it seems at 23. That moved things in me. Old friends and like he's almost 70. Yep. Damn. I needed to hear that. That's good. Except I'm 25, but I still needed to hear that. You know. Sometimes even from a moral aspect, I feel veganism is correct. Yeah, I feel terrible eating a steak after watching some of those videos. That's real. That's real. Dark. I refrain myself from commenting on veganism. Now I really want to hear your thoughts, but I understand why you refrain. I'm 30 years old, married with 2 kids. I have my family to worry about rather than allow them to bring us down when we're just doing fine. Thank them. Have you looked into Vedanta Hinduism? Yes, I actually looked into Hinduism quite a bit for I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I put some hours of research into it for sure. And from all of the looking into and the research that I did, I didn't get it. It was so confusing. I was like, I don't understand. I don't get it. It was just so out of my wheelhouse or whatever you want to say. That I was like, okay. I'll turn vegan if every predator animal turns vegan first. I mean, you got a point there. I cook steak way too good and enjoy grilling too much to be vegan. I really enjoy grilling too. Grilling is a lot of fun. You can live with meat. You can live with herbs. I would go vegan if everyone. And it stopped. Message retracted. Okay. Uh, Child asked me, why is it raining today? I said, God is crying. Child asked me why God is crying. Must have been something you did. Damn. Damn. I would go vegan if everyone around was vegan. Have you seen Ryan Cropper's? No, I have not. Dude, that's such a brutal joke, man. I need to screenshot that. I cook you clean again, dude. Generous tonight. I appreciate it a lot, man. Thank you. Really. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What kind of music do you play? Uh, rock, pop, metal, blues, some jazziness. Uh, I would say I'm more of a rock pop alternative artist myself. You can check out my music on Spotify. Nation Haven. First things first. R.I.P. Kobe. What's your favorite Kobe moment? Damn, dude. Kobe, that whole thing. Heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. I watched some video. I watched a video with Jimmy Fallon. I started falling apart, dude. Started crying. I was like, dude, this is wow. Favorite Kobe moment. I mean, I loved him as a basketball player all around. I don't think he was ever one of my favorites, but I still really he was a great player. Obviously, he was a fantastic player. I think my favorite Kobe moment was when he won an Oscar. I was watching the Oscars and I saw Kobe. I was like, no way, dude just won an Oscar. I was stoked for him. I was really, really happy for him because I was like, man, that guy's doing work. Like he, had the career of his life with basketball, and then he retired, and now he won an Oscar. Like, dude, we were talking about some deep shit here. Meanwhile, old ladies in my country are like, Australia is burning because men are fucking in the ass. What? Are you kidding me? What is that? Yeah, it still doesn't feel real. No, it doesn't feel real at all. Same here. Nation Haven. Yes, Nation Haven. See, what's crazy is I'm not trying to be critical, but if a child died that nobody knew, would you feel sad? But if a child died that nobody knew, would you feel sad? Yeah. Why wouldn't I feel sad? I'd absolutely feel sad. Are you trying to say that I wouldn't? It's purely a philosophical question and it shows our psychology that we believe not all people are created equal based upon our actions, but we all say everybody's equal. I mean, I get what you're saying. I think that's true for some people and not for others. I get what you're saying, but I don't think that's an objective fact about humanity as a whole. I mean, I would say that's one of those things that could split right down the middle in regards to some people genuinely care if a person that they didn't know, if a child that they didn't know dies. I have two buddies that have music on Spotify too. Dope. It's kind of proving the genetic cliche actions speak louder than words. This is true. Whew. Man. Hip hop. Are you trying to get at that story? Hip hop. Trying to get at that story where people have an opinion option to press the button for $1 million at the cost of someone you don't know dying. They made a movie about that. Children die every day. We feel bad for Kobe because we understood how much he worked in for his life, and in the end, he had no control over it. Greetings, been a while. Backwards Panda. Oh my God, it has been a minute. How you doing? I totally believe that a lot of people are heartbroken. Uh, you very child that dies, even more than when a basketball player dies. But the amount of attention Kobe, I get is general example. I think I get what you're saying, but there was a lot of autocorrect in that. I think it's the impact he's had on people's lives. I think death is sad either way, but I might uh, make you more sad because he has a personal effect on your life. This is true. Sorry, I'm using speech text to type. Uh, you're typically good reading, though. The grammar errors. Yeah, I can typically get through it. I mean, but it's there's sometimes where I'm like, I don't think I understood that. Nate says it's been a minute. Shoot a shot. That's one of the phrases I use a lot. That's for sure. I live in Maryland. These long, cold, dark winter days are getting depressing. I love winter. I hate when winter isn't winter, though. Like it's supposed to be winter right now, but it hasn't snowed. It just feels like a dead fall. It's not even that cold. Feels like a depressing fall, like a dead fall. And it's kind of a mitigating factor if a person's heartbroken, this base of whether or not they actually close to a person in real life. I'm agreeing with everything you're saying. Gotcha. Gotcha. If God exists, why did he let Kobe 13-year-old daughter die? Man, if God exists, why did he let Kobe 13-year-old daughter die? Man, I mean, I get it. Like I get why that is a very philosophically, theologically interesting question. It's just it's weird to me that I don't know. It's like people now this doesn't have to do with that death or whatever, but I think the general question is like people it's like if God is real, then they want to know. They want the truth and they want to know God to be a part of their lives, but at the same time then they still want to make their own decision and live their own life. So I mean, I don't know. Like that's the bottom line here is I don't know. But it's just weird to me that it's like I think if God exists, then he allows life to take place. If God exists, that means there's an afterlife. If God exists, in my opinion, that means there's an afterlife. But if God exists, then I think that God, in that sense, looks at things from an eternal standpoint. Dude, oh my God, what is going on here? This is so annoying. All right, whatever. From an eternal standpoint, and it's like, yeah, your life on Earth is done, but your life isn't done. And so I think that if God exists, I think he has a different perspective than what we do. And it's a perspective that I don't think we have the ability of understanding it. Like we just don't have the ability of understanding it. Gotta be the cynical son of a bitch here. Kobe was everywhere because his death made money. Uh, people on TV don't care, as they say. Shit fell weird and fake on most TV stations. Come to Missouri. Lots of snow and cold here. I would love to. I would love to go to a place where there's snow and cold. Do you think God means generation, operation, destruction? Not really, no. Damn, that's crazy. I always get depressed during winter. I think I have seasonal affective disorder or something. That's awesome. You enjoy it though. I really enjoy it. If God exists, why people die seems to me as a hack question an atheist can put. If you don't believe in God, don't ask that question. That is a question believers have to uh, put to themselves. That is such a good. That is such a good point. If you're an atheist, that question is not for you. If you're a Christian, that question is for you. That's such a great point. Wow. Never thought of it like that. Free will. We are created in the image of God. We are not robots. If we were God Himself, we'd just be robot and be bots. Is hate the opposite of love, or is it the indifference? Hate is not the opposite of love. Fear is the opposite of love. Um, or is it the indifference? Hate, hate in some ways is similar to love. Um, and I say that in a sense of like there's this want to be attached, or there is this attachment with love. And there's also an attachment to hate. And when I say attachment, it's like I want to be with you, near you, and I want to be accountable and responsible to you, and I would sacrifice for you, and I would do anything for you. Hate is this like I feel this accountability and responsibility to make your life a living hell. And I feel this attachment to you, and I seek revenge on you, and I have vengeance and anger towards you. Um, it's like there's still an attachment and there's still actions being taken into place with both hate and love. Um, but with fear, there's actually a retraction. There's actually like, I don't even want to go near it. I don't even want anything to do with it. And so really the opposite of love is fear. It's not hate. And the major distinction between humans and robots is our emotions. Computers and systems are always objective, but we have empathy, robots don't. How do you stay so objective? Do I stay objective? That's amazing. I hope I stay objective. I try as much as possible to stay objective. There are times where I think I'm being objective and I'm actually being really subjective. And so I've had to like fix those things. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work. I'm talking in subjectivity and I think I'm being objective, but I'm not. So I think it's just recognizing those things, recognizing things like that. Um, and to be truly objective, you have to be super humble and recognize that you're wrong. You have to really embrace humility, which that's something I have a hard time with. That's something I have a hard time with. Indeed, I like. There are a lot of times where I'm like, no, I'm not wrong. No, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm wrong, and it feels good to say I'm wrong. It feels good to admit that you're wrong. Um, yeah, I guess those are my secrets. That's how I do it. Does the cold help with limes? I think it does, but that's just me personally. I have a friend who has limes, and he loves summer. Uh, I agree. Hate is not the opposite of love, but meant to say indifference is the opposite. Huh. Yeah, I've never thought of that. I've always seen fear as the opposite of love. It's not a hack question. I don't say your question is a hack or stupid. Have you ever think about God as a futuristic being not running ruining the timeline when it comes to prophecies, etc.? I've never thought about God in that way. So don't tell me what I can or can't ask on an open discussion and question live stream about philosophy and life. No, I agree with you. I think he was just also I agree with you, Simba. By the way, I don't even think I said hey. Maybe I did. I'm just going crazy. Hello, hello. Um, and I don't think he's I don't think he's coming down on anyone. I think he's just stating a opinion. I was already high as fuck. Once I had this thought: what if everything living is a machine that works on programming, basic instincts, and humans become artificial intelligence, but we still are tied in the boundaries of our programming? Makes a lot of sense to me. You must have been flying sky high, dude. Actually, no, that makes perfect sense. I just read it again, and that actually makes perfect sense. And I think I would agree with that to some extent. There's nothing wrong with somebody being completely subjective. That is why you don't believe in God anymore. It's a subjective experience that you haven't had. You said that. Sure. Yeah. Um, there's nothing. Oh, well, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being subjective. But I think it's important, especially in this discussions of philosophy and theology, to have objectivity too. Like you can't do one without the other. Like you can't be purely objective and purely subjective. Like you have to regard both in terms of philosophical discourse. Fear, I'll have to think about that. Please do. I would say the opposite of love is fear. Hello, Andrew. What's good, man? How you doing? Glad you're here. Just thinking about loud fear still has an attachment. Indifferent is I don't care. I don't think fear has an attachment. Like we understand the basic idea of science. We have created things as humans that other humans marvel at. If this is God's first creation given to man, so if we comprehend science like Albert Einstein level, how much greater would God's science, tech, etc. be? Pretty crazy to think about. So pretty crazy to think about if we were all Einsteins, basically. If we were all Einsteins, where would the world be? We'd be way, way ahead. Way ahead. Like the world seems programmed. Yep. And, and we are the only one with self notice. We know we exist. And that is the definition of AI. As AI, we are trying to make a child, aka another AI. That's an interesting way of looking at it. Um, I mean, yeah, if you think that's literal, then that's interesting. But if you look at that as an analogy, then I might be able to agree with that in some ways. You're right. There are differing areas of philosophy that are in essence subjective and objective, like 2 + 2 = 4. Objective. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm guessing we're talking about the problem of hard. Yeah, well, kind of. We're just talking about a number of things, but yes, in some ways. Or multiple Elon Musks. Yeah, that'd be weird. You know, you can mathematically prove that 1 + 1 = 3, right? Yo, if you're serious, I gotta check that out. Indifference would be in the middle of fear and love then. I think you might be right in that. Sure. Math isn't objectively grounded, by the way. Really? I'm interested in hearing this. Please elaborate, Andrew. What is a Mike Posner has a great song poem piece that I really relate to when I think about to try to tolerate. That's interesting, Matt. Very interesting. Got to read the egg story. I don't know about no egg story. Guess I got to read it. Well, all knowledge is based on assumptions. Math is a language, and its concepts are based on certain assumptions. Okay, keep elaborating. See, you can change my opinion on something. That's the second time now, Darkin. That's the second time I've changed your opinion on something. I keep track because I don't do it too often. Fear of love. I have loved and don't want to. I have loved and don't want to love. Is that not attachment? Again, just thinking out loud. Fear of love. Well, fear of love is definitely a thing. I have loved and don't want to love. I wouldn't say that's how you would put the fear of love. Um, I think that to put the fear of love and what is the fear of love, I would say it's I have loved and I have been hurt so much that I'm afraid of that hurt. I'm afraid of that pain. And I don't want to go through that again because of the hurt and the pain. And so I'm afraid to love. That's what I would say. And I don't think there's attachment to that at all. Like you're not attached to any sort of individual. With hate, you are, and with love, you are. But with fear, you're only attached to that lie, that fear. You're basically attached to yourself, in other words. So, sure, there's attachment in that sense, but I'm talking about attachment to like a certain individual or thing. Andrew, still waiting for you to elaborate because I feel like you saying, well, all knowledge is based on assumptions. Math is a language, and its concepts are based on certain assumptions. I see what you're saying, but I I think you're going more subjective with that opinion because the reality is math, chemistry, science, all related, physics, all of it involves math, and we have figured out objective laws of the universe with math, with these things. And so I'm still trying to, okay. For instance, the statement 1 plus 1 equals 2 relies on the assumption that what we are actually seeing is one thing plus another thing. In reality, the one thing we're seeing could be 4,387 things. Sure. I mean, these are coffee cups, coffee mugs. I drink tea in them. This is made out of however many ingredients, material, and so is this. But this is one coffee mug, and this is one coffee mug. So I have two coffee mugs. Now, if I'm going to say, this is, I don't know, a billion particles, then it's like, yeah, it's not one. So it depends on the perspective that you have. But math and the language of math allows you to change that perspective. Love is I enjoy you wanting me around you. Love feeds your ego. I totally don't agree with that. And everything that feeds your ego is bad. But because we are self-destructive creatures, we starve for love. I 100% disagree with that full-heartedly. Is there any certainty that you hold on to, or do you just accept that you can't know what truth is? Oh man. Well, that's a good question. I There are things like, okay, with the whole thing of like, if God is all knowing, and the whole heaven and hell thing, like if God is all knowing, does he already know if we're going to heaven and hell? Predestination, Calvinism, all that kind of stuff with free will, blah 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 blah. Like that's one of those things where, God, if he exists, a creator, if he exists, whatever, um and it sees outside of time, whatever sees outside of time, then that means God, the creator, uh can see eternally in the present, which is a paradox, which we cannot, we can't understand it. We can try to come up with analogies, we can try to come up with metaphors, we can try to picture it, but we can never, we won't, like we can't, in our finite human thinking, we cannot understand that. We are not materialistically eternal beings, right? Whether we become them or whatever, I don't know. But with things like that, it's like, no, we're not going to know that truth. um and there's a ton of other things like that, but that's one example. And you say, is there any certainty that you hold on to? Pfft, yeah, I do think that there's some glimmer of something, and I know how vague that is, but I think that all of these concepts, such as, well, here's the question. Here's the real question. Things like love, things like joy, things like faith and belief, things like God, even. Here's the question: are we as humans evolved enough in our thinking, to where these ideas have evolved with them, and we've just evolved so much that we've been able to come up with these concepts on our own? Or were these things they've always been there, but now we are evolved enough to a point where we can actually put a philosophical name to it and try to understand it more. We've actually evolved to a point of trying to understand something that's always been there. I tend to lean more towards the latter, because it's just interesting to me that from what I've seen in the arguments that have taken place through thousands of years, there's always been something there that is outside of ourselves that we cannot comprehend. We have not had the ability or the language, or the sight or perspective to be able to understand and comprehend what it is. We can describe it in a number of ways, and we can throw out all of these philosophical terms to, like, what is it? What is this hole inside of us that we feel empty, or we feel like there's something missing, like there is a hole? Like, what do we fill that with? And a lot of people have a lot of different answers. A lot of people say God, relationships, they get a partner. But the thing that I've noticed is, there's some people find it in themselves, but then they drive themselves into the ground. It can either turn into pride, or it can turn into this selflessness that turns into them thinking that they are a savior, and it can lead into suicidal thinking and things like that. Um, And then other people that try to fill that hole and that void with other relationships. It's like then that relationship becomes toxic, and they're like, I should have never filled that void with somebody else, with something else. And so, but there are people who claim that it's God, claim that this is what fills the void, and but then there's problems there too, because it's then just like somebody brought up, I think it was Demame in the live chat here, that it's like they're just shoving all of their problems in their life onto somebody else, so they're not actually filling the void, but they're just like shoving it all onto religion, and they're giving themselves permission to be a victim. And that's what a lot of people do, but it still doesn't answer the question of what is this hole inside of us. Why are we always unsatisfied with life? Is it just because our lack of being thankful and grateful? Do we just not know how to embrace a form of spirituality that takes place in the present moment, and we embrace that present moment? Is it ourselves that we're missing? Is it our hurts and pains? No, who knows? Yeah, I no idea. um but there is, there's, who knows what it is, but I do think that there is something there that needs, I don't know if it needs, but an explanation might be available to us at some point in the future. I don't know. And so I see that thing. I see that thing, and I'm like, people are trying to describe whatever it is with God, or fill it with love, or faith and belief, or joy, or whatever. These philosophical, because all of them are philosophical concepts, really. Like, if God is real, it's not a philosophical concept. Like, something we don't understand. It's something outside of ourselves that, people can come up with different frames of thinking to try to describe what exactly God is. But the reality is, if God is real and we are able to see him, meet him, whatever, then the reality is it could be 100% completely different from anything that we came up with. But I still think that there is something that is worth questioning, something that is worth seeking, something that is worth searching out. Um, and so I do think that along that journey of searching, that there are truths objectively that we will come into. But obviously, the ultimate truth to the ultimate question is, I think, philosophically speaking, whether or not there is an afterlife, or a God, or a creator that exists. I think that's the ultimate question, which I think that is the ultimate question, because that's ultimately what potentially could fill that void, or fill that hole that we all feel, and we all somehow, some way or another try to fill. And people can even fill it with like sarcasm and cynicism and things like that, and like pride. I mean, people try to fill it with so many things. And it's like I see this at work, so I'm like, yes, I do think that there is that. Okay, so anyway, long rant, but I'm saying that something is what I'm like. What is it? So yeah, there's some, what did you say? Is there any certainty to hold on to? I don't know if it's a certainty, but I'm holding on to it. um, but there are also truths that we don't have the ability in our finite being. We don't have the ability to know them, or find them out, or even understand them. Have you ever read the Book of Enoch? I have. Why? You ask why I disagree. I enjoy wanting to be around. Okay, love is not just I enjoy you wanting me to be around you. It's a covenant. It's a promise. It's saying that I will sacrifice for you. I'm choosing to be accountable to you and accountable for you. I'm responsible for your life. There's sacrifice involved. It's a irrational frame of mind, and I don't think that feeds your ego at all. I think love actually destroys your ego, because somebody who is incapable of love also has the biggest ego in the world, and they think they're hot shit and that everybody else should love them, but they're actually incapable of actually loving someone. And so I don't think that we're self-destructive creatures. I think that we can be self-destructive creatures, and we can be self-destructive because we starve for love. But I don't think that, because we are self-destructive, we starve for love. I don't think that that is, well, that might be what I just said. I don't think that's what you meant, though. I could be wrong. But no, I don't think love feeds your ego at all. I think love destroys your ego. That's why I disagree with it. I agree math is a language, but it's not objectively grounded. We could be in a simulation, and those two cups that you are holding up actually could be 7 cups. The simulators make it look like 2. Possibly, but the fact, well, yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, though. It makes sense to operate as if the universe we experience is the universe that exists, and to make decisions, adopt beliefs in accordance with the way this universe is. Yeah. Fill the hole with sex, drugs, rock and roll, Yahoo. Yeah, that's one way to do it. The hardest thing to do as humans is to go back on questions you already answered and admit that new proofs make your answers wrong. Yep, I might be wrong, but that is the rotten core of our ego. Yes. This is why I feel that humans are at the core, because the hardest thing to do is to question yourself again. Very true. Humans are bad at their core. I disagree with that. I don't think we're bad at our core. I think we're good at our core, but I think this world is inherently this world is like a neutral plane, and there's bad involved in it. But I don't think we're bad at our core. I think we're good. I really asked the question just to see your point. You are right. Love uh is not feeding of the ego, but I like to play the devil's advocate. It makes people think, and thinking is good. I love playing the devil's advocate. Love it. Love it. I like the way you think. We want to be good. We really do. Yeah, it's true. I think we are inherently good, but it's the pain that we've experienced uh, that we're unable to forgive. I think forgiveness is, I don't know, something really, really profound about forgiveness. I know you probably answered this a million times, and I can't go look through the videos. I'm just new. But what things drew you away from the faith, church, etc.? Uh, well, that's kind of the whole thing about my channel. I mean, I don't know if I've expressed it through one video, but there's just a lot of things that don't make sense. Um, and it was a lot of things that drew me away. It was a lot of hypocritical things. It was a lot of things that I realized I was like, wow, this is actually like, just because I've been indoctrinated with so much. Like, I don't actually believe it. Um, like, I would say I had faith for it, but I don't actually believe it. Um, and so when I realized that, I was like, wow, I'm not a Christian. I don't actually believe in God. Um, I've just said I do and acted like, well, I did. I hardly acted like I did, honestly. Um, yeah. So sorry, I found this channel. I saw your dad react to it. No, it's great. I love the question. It's a good question. It's a good question to ask, especially if you've seen some of my content. Then it's like, well, yeah, it's for sure. What was it? We wouldn't be alive if we didn't have some fundamental form of empathy. This is true. But yeah, there's a lot of things that drew me away from it. And I talk about it in so many of my videos, not just one in particular video. Um, yeah. So it's not really I don't there's a lot to that. Um, yeah. I've always wondered if everyone else was faking it as well. I think a lot of people are, but they don't know it. They don't know that they're faking it because they've been told that they're not. We're self-destructive because we want to know things. Haven't you noticed that the human mind is always like a firewall against knowledge? More you know, more depressed you get. Well, that depends on your perspective. Like, knowledge does not have to be destructive. Knowledge can be destructive, and this is what I talked about with philosophy earlier. Like, the philosophy can be very destructive, because a lot of people will embrace knowledge that's just dead, knowledge that it's like you don't actually like it doesn't actually change your life or anybody else's life for that matter. um but people talk about it. Then there's knowledge that it's actually like pragmatic, like you can actually like test it and live it and see if it works. um so yeah, we are self-destructive. But I think there's something behind that self-destructiveness. I think there's this want to be selfless, and so that makes us self-destructive. The firewall has a name: cognitive dissonance. That's true. I'll check them out, dude. No, I get you. I was just thinking, I guess, more philosophical. Like I was curious as to how it all began. Yeah, I mean, I have a podcast too, the Philosophical Misfit podcast, where I think I talk about it brief. Well, I talk about it throughout most of my podcast, but yeah, IDK. Get pretty excited when I learn new things. Me too. But the thing is that we choose one direction and try to discover everything in that direction. We need perspective, discover things in different paths. This is true. Hello, the Scarecrow. What's going on? Prime example of philosophy being destructive is Hitler. Elaborate. This is the only way to know things safe. True. You got to research and discover things. When you search for truth, you have to search for both sides. And you have to search for it like you're wanting to prove it. And you have to search for it like you're wanting to disprove it. The thing is being able to accept the knowledge. Totally agree. He had a philosophy that all Jews were bad. Yeah, well, that wasn't a good one, obviously. Wasn't a good philosophy. I'm gonna go here in about. I'm giving it like 2 more minutes, guys, and I'm gonna sign off. We have philosophy that all Jews were bad. I think heaven does exist, but I decided not to believe in it. Then it would be so awful knowing that I was wrong all my life. Huh. A prime example. Yeah. No, I agree with that, Andrew. What you just said. Not both sides. All sides. Yes. Never stop searching for new perspective. This is true. Totally agree. 100% agree. So, do you and your dad ever talk about philosophy? A lot, all the time, actually. Yeah. No, we have pretty great conversation. What does he think? He likes it. I mean, he doesn't understand all of it, but he likes it. We have very philosophical conversation. He's down with it. I've recorded some of that philosophical conversation. It's on my podcast, Philosophical Misfit Podcast. It's good stuff. All right, guys, I'm actually going to sign off. I'm feeling pretty worn out, pretty tired. It just kind of hit me all of a sudden. But guys, thanks so much for the philosophical talk, philosophical conversation. You all are amazing. I love these talks. I live for these talks. And yeah, appreciate every single one of you. And look out for the vlog that's coming out Monday. Super stoked about it. It's going to be a whole series on joy. Would love to hear all of your awesome philosophical conversation and thoughts. So yeah, until then, see you misfits in the next one. Peace.